Welcome to the John McAllister Report, where John McAllister, top football evaluator, interviews college and high school coaches and athletes from around the country. Sit back and enjoy today's podcast.
I'm John McAllister, and this segment is called Coach's Corner. And today my guest is from Reynoldsburg High School, the new head football coach at Reynoldsburg, Mark Philmore II. Coach Philmore has a tremendous background in all levels of every phase of football, including coaching over in India for 3 to 5 years. He started actually his career at Fort Union Prep School for 2 years, came back to Reynoldsburg, played for 2 years, did really well, was scholarship to Northwestern, did well there. I think he's fourth in school records as receiving. He got a cup of coffee in the pros with the Chicago Bears. Then he got into coaching and went overseas to India, came back, and he coached at West Virginia Wesleyan. He coached at Dayton, and I'm sure I'm missing something, but he's back at Reynoldsburg, and he's excited. He's excited to be home. He's excited to be the head football coach, and he's excited to be in a program like Reynoldsburg. Mark Philmore has been a longtime friend of mine, and since he was at Eastern Illinois as a coach and recruiter. So I sit back and enjoy my video podcast with head coach Mark Philmore from Reynoldsburg High School. Coach Philmore, Coach Mark Philmore, how are you today?
Doing fantastic.
Tell me what you're doing right now.
Right now, I mean, it's spring cleaning time, so like you say, summer cleaning time. We start our workouts next week, and wanted to take this time without any students here on campus to just clean out a couple things. We have a little booster barn, and I'm out there attacking and getting some things rocking and rolling for next week.
Good, and obviously, I've said this earlier, but you are the new head football coach at Reynoldsburg High School. That's got to be exciting for you.
It's extremely exciting. Returning back home to my alma mater where I graduated from and have an opportunity to lead the program is truly an honor. To come back home where my mom is 10 minutes away from the high school and truly make a difference in the community is everything I can ask for.
Oh.
It's like I said, it's something that I can truly say, man, it's a life-changing opportunity.
That's really good. And you are the head coach. You're the boss now, right?
I am.
That's so exciting. And being the head coach before, for me, it's obviously it has its goods and bads, but it's a lot of good. Now, the negative thing I will tell you is that no matter how much football you've had, how much you've trained to be a head coach, bad news, you can't train to be a head coach, man.
No.
Because you got to roll all the time.
Correct. I mean,
you're up for it.
Correct. I think it's coaching in general, whether it's position or not. You learn from trials and tribulations, whether it be positive and or negative. And so that's why I wanted to do a great job of surrounding myself with men who have been here and done it before when it comes to teaching, being an educator, to help me along the way. And I can bounce ideas off of, because in no way, shape, or form is it a dictatorship. I reach out to my staff, all the time, just, hey, what do you guys think about this? I'm thinking this. What have you guys come across? What have you guys done in the past to kind of really help, the direction of our program?
Yeah, it's good. And don't forget, you're the final say.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
You're the final say. I can tell you jokes about that one, but not about you, about me. Okay. And when I talked to you earlier, and I went back last night and I tried to do a little bit of homework on people I have on there, even the players. But you have here's your background, and we're not going to go into a lot of detail in it,
Okay.
but you played at Reynoldsburg,
Mhm.
but before that, you went to the Fork Union
Correct.
prep school, right?
Correct.
Back in 2005, or no, I mean earlier.
Longer ago than that.
Okay, and then you graduated from Reynoldsburg, did really well. Although I thought you were too short at the time, you went to Northwestern and did really well playing Division I football.
Mhm.
And then after Northwestern,
A little cup of coffee. A little cup of
yeah,
coffee.
in the pros. I mean, but you still, like I tell people, man, you still had you still tried. You're still there.
No,
So
I got a couple of paychecks to say the least.
What's that?
Got a couple of paychecks to say the
Yeah.
least.
Well, it's still Chicago Bears.
No doubt.
And then you must have gotten the urge to coach, because where did you let's pick up after the Chicago Bears. Where did you go?
So after that, I pretty much at that time, had playing football for just about my entire life. My body was pretty beat up, and so I kind of got out of the game a little bit. And then from there, I was just working at an IT recruiting company, and I stood up one day and I said, I can't do this. I can't sit at a desk. I need to get back in the game somehow, some way. And then with that, I made a phone call to Pat Fitzgerald to figure out how can I get back in the game somehow, some way. And he gave me a couple ideas, and just by me just being who I am and just reaching out to multiple people, it came across an opportunity to go overseas. About 5 of my college teammates had just come back from Finland playing ball overseas. And I said, you know what, I'm looking to go over there with you guys. And again, doing some more research, I came across Poland. And it was a young man. It was a man by the name of Lo Hussey that had his MBA from Harvard, had retired around the late 30s, early 40s, working with Time Warner. And he's wanted to try to take football to be the number 1 sport in the country of Poland. And he was looking for a young, bright young man that could still play ball, but also coach, but also have the mental capacity to be able to go out and, be a part of his business. And I said, man, that sounds excellent. And so I went over there with the mindset for 2 years, and it turned up being 5 years. I spent 5 years in Poland, playing ball for 3 of those years, strictly coaching for 2. And then in the meantime with that, it took me to India, which is another story to tell. So.
Wow. That's so huge. Yeah. And then when you came back, where did you start coaching then?
So I was at a crossroads, in all honesty, and I had 3 championships in Poland, 1 in India, and it came down to, what more can I do here? And I reached out to the family and just said, hey, I think it's time for me to try to challenge myself once again. And I ended up coming back December of 2015, and I ended up starting college football at a school called West Virginia Wesleyan College. I'm a Division II school, February 1st of 2016. And from there, I went from West Virginia Wesleyan College to University of Dayton. And most recently, before I came here to Reynoldsburg, Eastern Illinois University.
Eastern Illinois. And I do have to mention, I always forget, Adam Cushing, because I met him when he was at Northwestern. Mm-hmm. And you have worked around some really class acts, including, did you work with Pat Fitzgerald or just no?
Didn't work with Pat, Coach Fitz, but he was a linebacker coach when I was a player at Northwestern.
But you met Randy and worked with Randy Walker.
Correct.
He's so good. So you've really been around some outstanding people all the way through. Who did you work with at Dayton?
Rich Chamberlain. A lot of things that we're going to be doing in regards to our culture and how to build it the right way. And our leadership, it stems from my time with Dayton. And in my interview, I literally asked, I said, hey, Coach, I said, what is it that has, kept you guys consistent in terms of your winning? And he said, Coach, talent comes and goes. He said, it's the culture that you have, but you have to build your foundation on that will always keep you basically relevant.
We're going to touch base on that. I have that in my notes.
Okay.
talk about, but I really wanted to establish the background because you have done a lot in football coaching, and a lot. Now you're coming back to high school, and you get a chance to work with young men again, real young men. Where they in college, I think they're big kids, and college players are big kids, and I think high school they're young men, and you have to mold them. And why Reynoldsburg then?
I mean, well, number one, why Reynoldsburg is, I'm a graduate from Reynoldsburg, so I've literally sat in the same shoes that they are sat in the same chairs that they have sat in, walked the same hallway, in the same locker room, all of it. So it was truly a no-brainer. When you're coaching the collegiate level, yes, you can make an impact on the young men that you're coaching, but you're almost limited to your particular position. You can offense side of the ball, yes, but collectively as a program, it's tough because you're spread so thin in regards to what you're supposed to do, what you're responsible for, especially during the course of the the season. And so being a head coach in the high school level, you truly have an impact on the entire program. 130 young men just in the high school level, yet alone the 8th and 7th grade teams. And then most importantly, just being in the high school now, I have a whole school that I'm in the face of, and more importantly, the community. So the impact that I can truly make a difference in, it's multiplied tenfold being at the high school level versus the collegiate level.
And I'm prejudiced here, but when you're a football coach or maybe a basketball coach in a successful program, but when you're the football coach, I think that draws so much recognition. Now, I said I'm prejudiced because I was a head football coach, but I think it's so important, and I think you will be surprised at the influence and at the let's just use influence that you're going to bring to the whole program. You're following a really good guy, Buddy White, a good friend of mine, very good friend of mine. But anyway, let's go. What's the culture? I want you to talk about, because you're going to establish a culture, but that doesn't say that there wasn't a culture there before. Ohio State's culture is a heck of a lot different than Northwestern's, and Notre Dame. So what are you talking about culture? And I think it's huge. What are you going to bring with culture?
How we do anything is how we do everything. Being an alum of Reynoldsburg, having seen how we have lost games in the past, it all stems from what they did in the classroom in this building that I'm sitting in. So if we don't take care of business here in this building, how can we think we take care of business on the field? Everything is a reflection of each other. That's the number one thing. Culturally, what we have to make sure we're on board on the same path with. How we do anything, how we do everything is the first thing, is how we're going to start there. Early on time is late, and late is forgotten. And so if we can look at those two things first, right, and then talk about how we get paid each and every day, which is our motto, with our passion, our attitude, and investment and discipline. If we can do that each and every day, and without to bore you guys in terms of what all that, which each one, how we look at each one. But if we can get paid each and every day, we'll be okay. And I think that's the main thing that I am bringing in with due time of being able to wrap my arms, and not just my arms, but my staff can wrap our arms around our program and our guys. We can truly have an impact not only on them, but then for them to have a domino effect and have an impact within the building, and then keep going to the community.
So I always call it structure. But what kind of structure or discipline are you going to expect from these kids?
I don't want to look at it as discipline. I want to look
call it structure, Coach.
No doubt. The biggest thing that I want to make sure they understand is that we got to create good habits, and our habits and having those great habits is going to be how we're disciplined. So we're not worrying about disciplining the kids. They're already the structure that we build, as you would say, and how we go about doing it, any and everything. That alone right there is going to help us be able to improve as young men, to then be able to help us improve as student athletes, or as athletes on the field. So if we can just start in terms of getting here on time. No, don't give me no excuse. I always say save your excuses for your moms and your girlfriends. I don't want any excuses. Get here on time. Do the right thing.
Doesn't it?
Say that again.
Next week, I think, doesn't it?
Yes, sir. It starts next Tuesday to be exact.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And so the biggest thing. I'm sorry about that. Go ahead.
I'm listening. Go ahead.
So the biggest thing that we can start with is just showing up on time, do the right thing. We will win by just starting with that. And then as we get our leadership and our leadership goals, our steps to be able to really have an impact on them will be even better. That's
really good. I agree. I think football has changed so much over, I coached 30 years ago, but it's changed so much, and I think it's for the better. For a long time, I didn't think it was for the better, but it is. Less hitting, shorter practices, and things like that. I mean, less full hitting and things, and more instruction.
Correct.
And I think muscle memory, make that up there. Okay. What are you looking for in assistant coaches? So if anybody's watching this from Reynoldsburg, what are you expecting from your assistant coaches?
So first and foremost is that we set the example for everything. So if we're showing up late, how can we expect the players to show up on time? So that's the first thing. We have to be the example in terms of what they see each and every day. Second, in regards to that, it's everything is for them. It's not about yourself. It's not about your name. It's about these young men and helping them develop to be men, giving them the resources that when they go off to college, they can be self-sufficient and knowing how to set up things in regards to and reaching out for help if they need it, without waiting for things to get too late. And there's no way to get out of get out of the situation you need. So the biggest thing is setting the example. Number two is everything is about them. Servant leadership is something that I truly humble believe in terms of they don't care how much you know to you. They know how much you care about them. And that's something that I'm going to live and die by in regards to the game of football is that they need to know that I care about them. And then from there, once we go from there, we can talk about some football, but that's the most important thing is them getting to know me and who I am, and then flip that on them and me getting to know who they are. So then we can kind of be on the same page. So we can understand his or her goals, whoever that might be. And the same thing for me to be able to understand my coach's goals that they might have for themselves so I can help get them to where they want to go. So the biggest thing for me, if you want to be a part of this program, is number one, all right, we set the example in terms of how we look, in terms of how we go about our life on an everyday basis. And then most importantly, we got to do it for the kids. And that means you have to be able to set that example. You have to be a great teacher. The game is the game, but being a teacher is what's most important.
So if I coached with you, would you be upset if before you got off the field, I was in my car driving away from practice? Did that upset you?
We will have a discussion. We'll have a discussion.
Well, I had an assistant coach like that once, Coach Freshman.
Mm-hmm.
I had to have a little sit down and talk to him.
A little discussion.
And I was sarcastic and said, "Hey, I'll hold your keys till practice is over." Of course, I was just being funny, but
no. Again, if you communicate with me, I'm big with communication. I just communicate with me. If you got to get out of here, because we all have families, the missus needs you for something, that you need something with the kids, and you how to go, coach. Hey, by all means, but just communicate with me.
Communication is huge.
Correct.
I wanted to slide that in there someplace and go back to one more thing you said.
Mm-hmm.
These things go so fast with me, Coach. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I shoot for 20 minutes and we're getting close.
All
but
right.
Tell me, I'm a 73-year-old lily white guy from a white community.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But I think, and I dealt with inner city I'm just saying, but what you said is so important, and it lets me get away with things, saying things to kids because they know I care. And I think they know I care. I mean, I'm nothing destructive, but I think knowing you care, that will make them better.
Mm-hmm.
That will get the communication we just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I totally believe what you say. And they know you care, and they know you're what's best for them. Then I think that's a start.
Mhm.
And that's exactly what you're saying. And I just think it's huge.
It is. It
You
is.
know, I have a couple more questions. One, with all your background, how are you going to show patience when things don't go right? Mark, how are you going to? I mean,
I tell my, I,
and this is the first time you've really worked with young kids, right?
I mean, I've coached high school ball before. That's how I even actually got started. I coached high school ball before I went overseas for 2 years. Was on the defense side of the ball 1 year and then flipped to offense the next.
Okay.
I mean, I've coached collegiate ball for the past 6 years. I've coached overseas before that for 6
Well, you haven't coached sophomores. Yeah, only 2 years of sophomores.
I mean,
so how are you going to handle that? You've kind of said it before.
One day at a time.
Okay.
That's everything in life. One day at a time. And I always say, look forward. The past is the past. Look forward. Don't look back. And so, the game of football was what I do. I love it. I have it. That's all. It's kind of almost like what I think about every single day. And so, for me, being a teacher it doesn't matter if you're 18, 20, 16, 15 years old. A teacher is a teacher. You know. So that's how I'm getting through it. Is just being a teacher. And being a teacher is you being able to have the patience to be able to get a young man where he might not have thought he could get, and get him there. I was blessed to be having some great coaches in my life, and it was for them being patient and believing in me and the ability that I had to help me push me. And so me just copying.
We're going to end this here.
Yeah.
And I really, really appreciate you coming on.
No doubt.
I think it's huge. And everybody knows a little bit more about Mark Philmore now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'd be remiss
Uh-oh.
if I didn't mention your better half.
Okay.
Don't you have a better half that helps you a little bit?
No doubt. So Ayanna Richardson is her name. She unfortunately graduated from Michigan. And
that's all right.
But she does a great job.
I am right there, buddy.
No, but she does a great job with our 2-year-old. He's growing up so fast, and that's a big reason why for me coming back home was huge, to be able to have more time with him, being closer to my mom here, who's 10 minutes away from the high school. So it made everything so much easier. And I just can't wait to just keep taking it one day at a time. We go out there and win some games and see what happens.
Coach Philmore, thank you very much for being on my show. Okay?
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
I really appreciate it.
All right.